The crowd of 60,000 aliens fell into an uneasy silence the moment she walked in. Naira didn't look like much. That was the first thing commentator Veldrax noted through the broadcast feed, his four vocal cords vibrating with poorly concealed amusement. She was small by Gaxori standards, barely 2 meters, no bioluminescent markings, no venom glands visible beneath her jaw, no reinforced carapace. She wore simple gray athletic wraps and carried nothing. Her dark hair was pulled back. Her eyes, 2 of them, only 2, swept the arena with an expression the translator banks struggled to categorize. Calm, the AI finally decided. The human is calm. In the stands, Jackson gripped the railing until his knuckles went pale. Naira, he whispered, though she could not hear him. Don't do anything stupid. He was her handler, her translator, her manager, though she preferred the word friend, and she used it with a sincerity that still, after 3 years, caught him off guard. He had argued against this match. He had filled out the formal objection paperwork in triplicate. He had bribed 2 scheduling officials and threatened a third. None of it had worked, because Naira had wanted this. Across the arena floor, a vast circular space of packed black stone, ringed with energy fields to keep stray limbs from landing in the cheap seats. The Apex champion arrived. Daycroft the Unbroken. 7 meters of armored predator. Species, Vorkai. Native gravity, 2.3 standard. Body temperature, 61 degrees Celsius. Confirmed kills and sanctioned competition, 241. Confirmed surviving opponents, 6, and 3 of those had required full neural reconstruction afterward. The crowd erupted. Not with cheering, exactly. It was something more primal than cheering. It was the sound of 60,000 creatures who believed they were about to watch something die. Jackson's jaw tightened. Daycroft moved to the center of the arena with the unhurried confidence of a creature that had never once considered the possibility of defeat. His forearms flexed. His tail, thick as a ground vehicle, swept the stone floor. He regarded Naira the way a mountain regards a raindrop, with complete indifference. The arena announcer's voice boomed in 17 languages simultaneously. Combatants ready. The match begins in 60 seconds. Part 2. The stillness. Naira did not move to the center. She stood near the edge of the arena, exactly where she had entered, and she looked at Daycroft. Not aggressively, not fearfully. She simply looked. Her breathing was visible, slow, measured, the steady rise and fall of a person sitting by a fire, not facing a creature that had once bitten through a reinforced blast door out of what the incident report described as mild irritation. In the commentary booth, Veldrax was already composing his eulogy. The human female appears to be frozen in place, he narrated, mandibles clicking with something between pity and entertainment. A stress response, most likely. The body shutting down before the mind can accept its fate. We have seen this before, friends. The famous Deathworld species, so dangerous in their home environment, so fragile when removed from it. Perhaps the legends of humanity were exaggerated after. Clang. The starting bell. Daycroft moved. When a Vorkai of his size chose to cross an arena floor, the ground trembled. Literally. The seismic sensors the arena kept for insurance purposes registered a 1.3 magnitude event. He moved with terrifying speed for his mass, a biological locomotive, all 4 arms outstretched, tail raised for balance, jaws open to reveal 3 rows of interlocking teeth that could shear through starship hull plating. Naira still did not move. The crowd began to understand that something strange was happening, because there is a difference between frozen and still. A frozen creature trembles. Its eyes dart. Its muscles twitch with the overflow of panic hormones it cannot process fast enough. It flinches at sounds. It breathes in shallow, ragged bursts. Naira did none of these things. She stood with her weight slightly forward, her feet shoulder-width apart, her hands relaxed at her sides. Her eyes tracked Daycroft with the focused attention of someone watching a problem approach. Not a monster, not a predator, not death itself made flesh and scale and fury. A problem. In the stands, Jackson had stopped breathing. He had seen that expression before. He had seen it on her face when she had dismantled a malfunctioning reactor core with 17 minutes to spare. When she had navigated a debris field manually because the autopilot couldn't handle the math fast enough. When she had carried 3 unconscious crew members through a collapsing mining tunnel for 2 kilometers because there was simply no other option. Earth had spent 4 billion years building Naira's ancestors. Volcanoes, ice ages, mass extinctions, predators that made Daycroft look like a domestic animal, plagues, famines, wars that rewired the genome with ruthless efficiency. This trait survives, this one doesn't. This one gets passed on because the ones who carried it lived long enough to have children. The result, after all that patient, merciless sculpting, was a creature that could look at something trying to kill it and think. Daycroft was 4 meters away. 3, 2, Part 3, 1 move. What happened next was recorded by 47 different camera systems and subsequently analyzed by the Galactic Sports Authority, 3 university biomechanics departments, and 1 very confused insurance adjuster. It took 0.3 seconds. Naira stepped, not back, not sideways, but in and down, inside the reach of Daycroft's leading right arms, into the space he hadn't protected because no opponent had ever been fast enough or insane enough to move toward him at the moment of his charge. Her left hand caught his outstretched lower right wrist. Not to stop it. She couldn't have stopped it. She weighed perhaps 1/18 of him. But to redirect it, a precise deflection using his own momentum, a vector correction of perhaps 12 degrees that meant the arm swept behind her instead of through her. Her right elbow came up. The joint of a Vorkai's leading arm, the primary attack limb, contains a nerve cluster that their species' evolutionary history had never seen fit to protect, because nothing that had ever fought a Vorkai had been small enough, fast enough, and knowledgeable enough to target it. Naira had studied the anatomy for 6 weeks. The impact of her elbow on that nerve cluster traveled up Daycroft's arm like an electrical surge. The involuntary spasm that followed sent his own arm, his own enormous, terrible, 200-kilogram arm, swinging back across his body in a reflexive curl. The back of his primary fist connected with his own jaw. The Apex champion, 241 confirmed victories, 6 surviving opponents, sat down. Not dramatically, not slowly. He simply sat down, like something had removed his bones while he was standing. His tail swept a divot in the black stone. His 3 remaining arms went out for balance. His jaw, which had just experienced the equivalent of being hit by a ground vehicle from the inside, sent signals to his brain that his brain spent a long moment failing to interpret. The arena went completely silent. Naira stepped back to her original position near the entrance gate. She rolled her left shoulder once. There would be bruising where his wrist had grazed her, she noted, something to address later, and waited. The automated referee system spent 4 full seconds running its condition checks on Daycroft. Combatant Deathworld, incapacitated. Match duration, 0.3 seconds. Winner, NYR, 7, species human, Earth. Part 4. After. Jackson found her outside the medical bay, sitting on a cargo crate, eating something from a foil packet with the focused contentment of a person who had just completed a task and was now enjoying the moment after. He stood in front of her for a long moment. "You," he said, "are going to give me a cardiac event before I'm 40. Naira looked up. The expression on her face was the one he had cataloged internally as fond amusement, the slight upward curve at the corners of her mouth, the ease in her eyes. His nerve cluster was exactly where the xenobiology database said it would be, she said. "I wasn't guessing. You went toward him. It was the only direction he wasn't covering. He outweighs you by. Weight isn't the variable that matters in a redirected kinetic exchange." She offered him the foil packet. He waved it away. She shrugged and took another bite. "I needed him to move fast so there was enough momentum to work with. If I'd moved first, he would have adjusted. So I waited until the last possible moment and then stepped in. Simple physics." Jackson stared at her. In the arena behind them, the crowd, 60,000 creatures who had come to watch a human die, were making a sound none of them had expected to make tonight. They were chanting her name. NYRH. 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 The sound rolled through the corridors like thunder. Naira tilted her head slightly, listening, and something in her expression shifted, not pride, exactly. Something quieter and older than pride. Satisfaction. The satisfaction of a 4-billion-year-old process that had just, once again, proven its math correct. She finished her food, crumpled the foil packet neatly, and stood. Come on, she said to Jackson. I want to check the recordings. There were a few milliseconds in the approach where I think my footwork could have been cleaner. Jackson followed her, because that was what he did. He was her handler, her translator, her manager, her friend. And he had learned, 3 years ago and 1,000 times since, that when Naira said something could be cleaner, the universe should probably pay attention. In the Galactic database, under the entry for human, Earth, the threat assessment had been updated many years ago. It read, simply, do not engage, do not assume, do not underestimate. No further elaboration was considered necessary.